The rain hammered against the pavement like 1,000 tiny drums, each drop a reminder of Emily's exhausting 12-hour shift. Her feet ached, her uniform clung damply to her tired body, and all she wanted was to collapse into bed. When a sleek black Mercedes pulled up to the curb outside Romano's diner, she didn't think twice. Through the rain-blurred window, she saw a driver waiting, and her co-worker. Sarah had mentioned her boyfriend was picking her up in a nice car. Without hesitation, Emily yanked open the door and slid into the leather seat with a grateful sigh. "Thank God you're here," she breathed, closing her eyes. "I thought this shift would never end." The silence that followed made her stomach drop. She opened her eyes to find a stranger staring at her. From the driver's seat, a man in an expensive suit with salt and pepper hair and the most startled expression she'd ever seen. This wasn't Sarah's boyfriend. This wasn't even close. "Oh my God!" Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "I am so sorry. I thought you were someone else. I'll get out right now." She fumbled for the door handle, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "Wait!" The man's voice was deep, measured. He studied her for a moment, taking in her worn uniform, the name tag that read Emily, and the exhaustion etched into her young face. "It's pouring. Where are you headed?" "The bus stop, but really I've already caused enough." "Which bus?" "The 47, but that doesn't run for another hour on Fridays." He glanced at his watch, then at the deluge outside. "I'm Marcus Holloway, and you look like you've had the kind of day that doesn't deserve to end with an hour-long wait in the rain." Emily hesitated. Every warning her mother had ever given her about strangers flashing through her mind. But there was something in his eyes, a weariness that matched her own, a sadness that spoke of battles fought and losses endured. Against her better judgment, she stayed. "I live on Maple Street near the community center," she said quietly. "But honestly, you don't have to—" "It's on my way." It wasn't, but she didn't know that. As Marcus navigated through the rain-soaked streets, an unexpected conversation unfolded. Emily found herself talking about her life, how she was, working 2 jobs to put herself through nursing school, how her mother had passed away last year, leaving her to care for her younger brother, how some days she wasn't sure she could keep going, but she had to, because who else would? Marcus listened with an intensity that surprised her. He didn't offer empty platitudes or change the subject. He simply listened. And something about his silence felt more supportive than 1,000 well-meaning words. When they pulled up to her modest apartment building, Emily thanked him profusely and hurried inside, certain she'd never see the kind stranger again. She was wrong. What Emily didn't know was that Marcus Holloway was one of the wealthiest men in the state, a real estate mogul whose empire spanned 3 countries. But wealth hadn't protected him from tragedy. 3 years ago, his daughter had died from complications that might have been prevented if the overworked hospital staff had caught the symptoms earlier. He'd buried himself in work ever since, building towers of steel and glass as monuments to his grief, each success feeling more hollow than the last. That chance encounter with Emily awakened something in him. Her selflessness, her determination to help others despite her own struggles, reminded him of his daughter, who had dreamed of becoming a doctor. For the first time in years, Marcus felt a purpose beyond profit margins and acquisition deals. He made inquiries, discreet ones. He learned that Emily was drowning in student debt, that her brother was brilliant but couldn't afford college, that she volunteered at the community center on her 1 day off each week, teaching CPR classes to anyone who wanted to learn. She was exactly the kind of person his daughter would have admired. Marcus did something he hadn't done in years. He made a plan that wasn't about money. 2 weeks later, Emily received a letter from an organization she'd never heard of, the Holloway Foundation for Healthcare Education. She'd been selected for their full scholarship program, which would cover her remaining tuition, provide a living stipend, and guarantee her a position at the city's premier hospital upon graduation. The letter mentioned that her commitment to community service and her outstanding character had made her their ideal candidate. Emily's hands shook as she read it 3 times, certain it was a mistake. The foundation's number was at the bottom. She called immediately, half expecting them to realize they'd sent it to the wrong person. Instead, a warm voice confirmed everything. It was real. It was happening. For the first time since her mother's death, Emily cried, not from exhaustion or despair, but from overwhelming hope. Months passed. Emily thrived in school, no longer splitting her energy between too many jobs. Her brother received a scholarship from the same foundation. The community center got a grant for new equipment. Emily sometimes wondered about the mysterious benefactor, but never imagined it was the man from that rainy night. Then came the day she was assigned to do her clinical rotation at Memorial Hospital. During her first week, she was assisting in the cardiac unit when she saw him, Marcus Holloway, being wheeled in on a gurney, his face ashen, clutching his chest. "Heart attack!" the attending physician barked. "We need to move, people." Emily's training took over. She didn't freeze. She didn't hesitate. She was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. As the team worked to stabilize him, her hands were steady, her voice calm, her knowledge sure. It wasn't until later, when Marcus was stable and resting, that recognition dawned in his eyes as she checked his vitals. "The waitress?" he whispered, a weak smile crossing his face. "You got in the wrong car." "Mr. Holloway?" Emily's eyes widened as pieces clicked into place. The foundation, the scholarships, everything. "It was you. All of it. Why?" His eyes grew distant. "I had a daughter once. She wanted to change the world, one patient at a time. I couldn't save her, but maybe—" His voice cracked. "Maybe I could help save someone else's dream. Maybe I could make sure the nurses and doctors of tomorrow don't have to choose between education and survival." Tears streamed down Emily's face. "You saved my life. My brother's life. The lives of everyone I'll ever help because of what you did." "No," Marcus said softly, gripping her hand with surprising strength. "You saved mine. I'd forgotten what it meant to live for something bigger than myself. You reminded me that the best investment isn't in buildings or businesses, it's in people." The full circle moment wasn't lost on either of them. A random act of kindness on a rainy night had transformed into a legacy of hope. Emily went on to graduate top of her class, eventually specializing in cardiology, partly because of the man who had seen potential in a exhausted waitress and decided that her dream was worth investing in. Marcus recovered fully and redirected his foundation's focus, creating opportunities for hundreds of aspiring healthcare workers. His empire of buildings remained, but his empire of changed lives grew larger still. Sometimes Emily still thought about that rainy night, about the wrong car that became the right choice. She thought about how a single moment of vulnerability, hers in accepting help, his in offering it, had rippled outward, touching lives neither of them would ever meet. Because that's the thing about kindness and redemption, they're contagious. One person's decision to look beyond their own pain and see someone else's struggle can change everything. A chance encounter can become a purpose. A stranger can become a savior. And sometimes, getting into the wrong car leads you exactly where you were always meant to be.